So in this video here, we're going to be looking at prime and composite numbers. So the learning goal is that you can hopefully be able to define those things, what a prime number is and what a composite number is, and also how to be able to identify these prime factors with any given number. So make sure you write the learning goal down first. So we're going to do a bit of definition writing first, just so we get a good understanding of what these things mean. And the first thing we're going to be looking at is what a prime number is. So a prime number is, as it says there, is a positive whole number. Okay, so it's a positive whole number that only has two factors. And by two factors, we mean one and itself. So the examples I've got there are 2, 3, 5, and 7. So the only way to get 2 is by 1 times 2. The only way to get 7 is 1 times 7. That's the only two factors of 7. Now the opposite to that is composite. Okay, now a composite number, and again you'll be writing this down, a composite number is a number that has more than two factors. So the examples here are 4, 6, 8, and 9. So 4, it is 1 times 4, but it's also 2 times 2. 6 is 1 times 6, but it's also 2 times 3. So it has more than just two factors. And that's the difference here between prime and composite numbers. Now there are two exceptions, and I'll get you to write them down also, and that is 0 and 1. So 0 and 1 are neither prime nor composite. There's kind of special numbers that we have. So we don't include them in our prime and composite identification. Now I'm going to give you a bit of a clue here, or a hack of how to best answer questions as we go through. And that is if you can try and memorize the first 10 prime numbers, because that's really going to help you with identifying the difference between prime and composite. The first 10 prime numbers will never change. They will always be this 10. So if you can remember these, or at least write them down, it will help you with identifying the difference between prime and composite. So the first 10, as you can see there, that I'll get you to write down, 2, 3, 5, 7, etc. If you know them, it's going to help you with our work as we progress forward. But I'm going to give you an example that we'll do now, and we'll show you how we'll do the thinking when it comes to questions like this. And I'll sort of explain what goes in my head as we're doing it. And we need to do this question here, which is state whether each of these numbers is either prime or composite. So we'll start with the first one. Now, it's 22. Now, I know that any even number can be divided by 2. So that means if you know the divisibility rules, this will help you with identifying prime or composite numbers. So I know that 22 can be divided by 2, or can be halved. So I know that not only will it be 1 times 22, I also know that it'll be 2 times 11. So that's going to make it a composite number. Now the same for 35. I know that any number that ends in 0 or 5 can be divided by 5. Therefore, it makes it a composite number, because it's not only just going to be 1 and 35, it's also going to be, it could be a 5, etc. If you just need to find one other set of factors which will make it a composite. So because it ends in a 5 or a 0, I know that it can be divided by 5, hence making it a composite number. Now the other two here that we have 17, I can't find any other factors other than 1 times 17. So 17 is prime, and just to confirm that, I know if I look up here, it is one of the first 10 prime numbers. I also have 11, and again, same thing with that. I know, knowing my first 10, that is a prime number, so I'll put P for prime. Now 9 is often a tricky one. People often get mixed up on 9. Because it sort of looks like a prime number, but I also know that 3 times 3 equals 9, so therefore 9 is a composite number. And of course we have 5. Now earlier I said that any number that ends in 5 or 0 can be divided by 5, and yes, that is the case for the number 5, but it is the only one that can be divided by 5 in itself. So it's 1 times 5 equals 5. There's no other factors involved, so that one is a prime number. So if you can understand these sort of little hacks, or how to identify the difference between prime and composite numbers, also try and understand a few of the divisibility rules, it'll really help you with the questions as we move forward. So again, make sure you have prime number and composite number definitions down. If you can sort of remember the first 10, that'll really help you with answering the questions, and that's the learning goal that we need to make sure that you've done. So you've able to define what a prime number is and a composite number, and also that you can identify the prime factors of a given number. So by what we mean by that, if we said 30, and you'll do this in your practice, list out the factors of 30 and identify the prime factors of that. So if we had to list out all the factors of 30, within those factors, you want to find out which one of those are the prime numbers. That's why understanding the first 10 will be really important for you. Thanks, guys.